David Otto Endeley is a defence and counter-terrorism specialist on Africa and is joining us now from Abuja. David, why has this become such a widespread occurrence in Nigeria and such an attractive money-making activity for gangs?
It has. For the past decade now, as you rightly mentioned in that intro, there has been more than 18 to 20 mass kidnappings since the Chibok girls were kidnapped 10 years ago. And this has now spiraled into a level that is not controllable. And these victims, as you have rightly cited in some of the intro, these victims are mostly young women, they're mostly children, very young boys. And, it does seem that, the actors are growing in more courage, and taking more risk in carrying out this level of mass kidnapping. And I think that successive governments have continuously promised but failed to restore some level of sanity when it comes to kidnapping for ransom. And some of these groups are just taking advantage of that. And it's now some kind of an established industry for them to demand huge sums of money for kidnappings of victims.
And we had a couple of things that governments have tried to do: 15 years in prison for paying a ransom, death for people who have been doing kidnappings. Is that right? I guess what more can security forces in particular and governments more broadly need to do to get a grip?
I think they've lost their grip. You rightly said, but I think the way that they can catch back their grip, so to speak, I think it goes beyond the role that security forces have to play. Of course, there has been a safe school initiative that was initiated after the Chibok girls, but that hasn't gone any far. I think what we're looking at here is we've got to go back to the bottom approach. The role of traditional rulers, has been eroded massively, and these are the people that have the trust of their communities. So I think the government has to go back to basics. African communities believe, trust, and fear their traditional rulers. But in the case of Nigeria, that has been eroded, and the traditional rulers no longer have the power. They no longer have the trust of the people. That needs to be restored. But beyond that, of course, you still need the military, you still need a security agency that can protect the people, the basic protection that young people need. Education is under attack. Women are under attack. Children are under attack. And I think the society is under attack. The government needs to act now.
And I suppose local citizens, you mentioned their traditional leaders, but what about local citizens in these areas where kidnapping is becoming so widespread? Are they able to do anything to protect themselves? Are they running any local initiatives?
There has been many local initiatives that have been put in place. They call them local vigilantes. Some of the states amongst the 36 or 37 states, depending on where you're standing, some of the states have put in place local militias. But of course, this hasn't gone far enough. I mean, people are talking about decentralization of the police, asking for state-based policing. But the question is, why is policing not working now? Is it because of the level of centralization? So I think it goes beyond just citizens, forming vigilantes. I think where the gaps have been, seen is that there is a lack of trust between the citizens and the security forces. They are not sharing information on time. And when they do, the security forces are not catching up or following up on that information on time as well. So we need to go back to the roots and bring a very comprehensive bottom-to-top approach, which doesn't just include citizens, doesn't just include the military or the security forces. Bring in the traditional rulers. They have the trust, and the people fear them. Give them back their powers, and we will have a situation where there will be some restoration of trust at the very local level.
All right, back to basics then. David Otto Endeley, thank you so much for that.